My frustrations with the car detailing world. Now that's quite the title, right? This video might ruffle a few feathers, but that's okay. What we're here to do is, I think, have a much needed discussion on a few topics that have been bothering me over the years, and most likely bothering you guys as well, as far as my viewers are concerned. So I'm in a position now where obviously this is a car detailing channels. I like to do tutorials, product reviews, all that kind of stuff. And I have a pretty good insight, even behind the scenes, on how things work, because I have access to discuss with all these brands, from the CEOs to the management to employees, the chemists for some of them who employ chemists as well. And so I can have an interesting take on some of these topics. I can see their frustrations and their challenges, but I'm also lucky enough to have you guys, my viewers. You made this one of the biggest car detailing channels on YouTube at the moment of this recording. We're almost at 1 million subscribers, 130 million views. So I have kind of a sense of what often comes up in many videos. And so there are frustrations on the consumer side. So that's us on one side of the thing. And that's regardless if we're weekend warriors, car detailing professionals, or car detailing enthusiasts. We're talking about us, the crowd behind the scenes, us purchasing the products, the tools, the equipment, doing detailing either for fun or as a livelihood. Doesn't matter. And then on the other side, there are the brands that produce the products, chemicals, tools, and equipment that we purchase, right? So in this video, I'm going to be very candid. By the way, if you like this very different style of video, let me know. Of course, drop a comment in the comment section. And if you want me to do more, I think I will do more. Many will be pleased that I'm finally voicing their opinions. I like to kind of get the pulse of what's going on with my viewers, but also my fellow content creators on YouTube. It's a challenge for everyone, and the brands included. So this is not a us versus them or them versus us kind of thing. It's important that we stay constructive in our criticism, in our discussions, and I want us to stay respectful. You guys know that's how my channel was built, is through being polite, kind, gentle, responsive. We're all entitled to our opinions. I think the majority of us, if we're watching these videos, we live in free countries where freedom of speech is a thing, and I think it's very important, as long, again, as we stay respectful. I don't want anyone bashing anyone in the comments. That's not what this is made for. And I certainly stand against either cyberbullying or negativity. So as long as you do constructive criticism, bring your points forward in a positive manner, or at least in a polite and respectful way, we're all for it. So again, share your thoughts and your opinions as this video goes in the description under the video. I'll be curious to have kind of the pulse of, well, am I hitting topics the right way? Are we talking and discussing about topics that are important to you guys, and what basically you feel? So this is going to be a candid, unscripted video. Like all my videos are never scripted. However, I'm going to have a few notes here of the key points, just so I stay on point. I don't know how long this video is going to last, so bear with me. I think there's a lot of important things, a lot of juicy topics, a lot of crispy topics as well. And yeah, so what are we going to talk about? Let me go over them. There's 7 major topics. The first one: how much innovation is too much innovation? Is there such a thing? Topic number 2, expectations on value and durability. Do we have outrageous expectations? Are brands setting the bar too high? Are they having false expectations, or are they creating false claims? Third topic, my opinion and thoughts on chemical resistance tests. Number 4, so how do we evaluate if a product is actually good? Is there such a thing, once again? Number 5, negativity on social media in general. And this is across all platforms, regardless if it's YouTube, X or Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever that is. Number 6, the endless sea of new brands and products, right? Every week, every month, there seems to be a new company, new products that pop up. What are thoughts and opinions on that? And number 7, last but certainly not least, hype beasts, right? Some products that are labeled as being, oh, this is hype. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys are curious. And again, leave your thoughts and comments in the description. Just word of warning, please be respectful. I don't want anybody jumping into fights there in the comments. I don't want to be like a dad trying to break a fight up between brothers there. Let's all stay banded together. I think it's important that we remember that at the end of the day, guys, we are not saving lives here. We're talking about car detailing. This is meant to be fun. This is meant to like enhance the pleasure you have of looking at your car, driving your car. We're all a bit OCD from detailing, right? If you're watching these videos right now, well, you're part of the 1% of the population that actually enjoys taking care of their car and detailing and all that kind of stuff. 99% of people out there who do not know anything about detailing, well, they're not concerned about these topics. Funny thing, a few years ago, I did a podcast on another channel. It had nothing to do with car detailing, by the way. And they were talking about a bit of drama and all that stuff. So I kind of gave them my thoughts on drama that happens sometimes on detailing channels. There are a few rotten apples, unfortunately, on some channels out there that are only there for clickbaits and creating drama and stirring controversy. And they think they're going to grow their channel that way, but that always backfires and that never works. I've seen it time and time again. The ones who rise to the top, they don't play into that kind of tactics. It doesn't work long term. And people are smart. You viewers out there, you know when somebody is just trying to stir drama to gain some views and gain some subscribers. I think that's the way to cop out or cheap out of actually giving efforts to produce quality content that people actually want to see. Because if that's what you do, your channel will grow. As long as you do good stuff, people will enjoy it. I don't see why it wouldn't grow. So that other channel, that podcast, had mentioned one of the two interviewers was saying, well, Pan, that's funny that you'd say that about the detailing world, because if you think that's drama, that's actually nothing. So the guy was in woodworking, so a woodworking YouTube channel. And he says, in my field, oh my God, did they go bonkers. So we had quite a laugh, and even off cam afterwards, I kind of asked more questions because I was intrigued, right? So you normally think this only happens in your field. I happen to be, my car detailing channel is a niche or a niche in the detailing space, but there are hundreds and thousands of different channels on different topics, right? People have different interests and hobbies, and so I thought it was maybe only because sometimes you're too close to the tree. And if you back up a bit, then you can see the forest, and you're going to see there's a lot more topics out there. And he said, yeah, man, it's just nuts. Woodworking is this crazy place. There's a lot of people backstabbing the other, and there's a lot of jealousy going on. People don't like to see other ones that have success. They wonder why they're not having success, and they try to belittle their brothers or their fellow content creators. And then you'll have viewers trying to bash one clan or another clan. I'm like, wow. So it kind of made me like think, imagine like in the rest of the fields, because I know this happens. I have friends that are in the electronics world, and they say the same thing. They, for example, they will review TVs. And they'll come up with, well, new TVs come out at CEDIA or at CES or whatever it may be, whatever show is for electronics. And then they'll say, well, the best TV of the year is this one for now, or this is my favorite, that's my top recommendation. And then somebody from their viewers, they purchase the TV, and then a year or two later, something happens, pixel burn-in, or the TV fails or some reason, and then they come back, you said it was the best TV, and I disagree, and blah, blah, blah. And then they start just lashing out to that person. I'll never listen to your videos again. You recommend BS. You're just a shill trying to sell TVs and blah, blah, blah. Like, man, that is crazy. That person that gives their opinion, they can be held responsible for the actual like longevity or product performance of maybe it responded to their criteria, and they don't know when a new product is released, like a new TV, until you get to test it for 4 or 5 years, you don't know how it will do over time. So all you can tell is the initial impressions on what you're seeing and what you're observing with your own eyes. You can base yourself on the company's credibility, past history, right, on customer service and all that kind of stuff. But until you test long term, you don't really know. And if we all had to wait for those products to actually pan out 5 or 6 years later before doing a video, can you imagine like there'd be no videos on YouTube? Nobody would be talking about anything. So we'd never know any information about any topic. And then 5 to 6 years later, when you finally do your video, well, guess what? Technology has moved on, and there are different technologies, different TVs, maybe other brands that have done better. And another funny thing is, if we look at, let's say, you can take that to any field, plumbing, for example. So I was talking with a plumber the other day that was doing some work in the house, one upgrade I wanted there, and I was telling him about social media and how weird it can be sometimes. And he was like, yeah, I can just imagine starting a YouTube channel and then people wondering, what's the best pipe? Is it copper? Is it PVC? And then you get, well, I like this brand of like pipe cutters. And this other guy says, no, that's crap. I prefer this brand. You're like recommending the wrong things, what fittings you're using, or what toilet is the best toilet out there. Is it a Toto? Is it an American Standard? And so at the end, I concluded that, you know what? Usually when you're in a field, it means that people will share the same passion as you, and passion usually sometimes also correlates to a lot of emotions. So people have emotional attachment sometimes to a specific brand or a specific product, and I see this time and time again in the detailing space as well. They get attached to a company, and if somebody out there says something bad about the brand, well, they're going to lash out. Well, no, it's my favorite brand. Why are you saying bad things about it? Or in the contrary, you might love a brand personally if you're a content creator, talk about a specific product that works for you. And because the user had a bad experience with it, maybe they had a bad batch, or maybe it just doesn't respond to what criteria they have for judging a product's performance or value or whatever it may be. And then they get mad at you and they think automatically you're a fake, you're a phony, you don't know what you're talking about. And so it is quite funny sometimes, but other times people take it to an extreme. And it goes way too far. And some people really lack respect. We're going to touch about that when we're going to talk about the negativity on social media. But again, this is something a passion. And I know if you guys are watching, detailing is definitely a passion. It has been my number one passion in my life for 26 years at this point. I started when I was 16. I'm now 42. And it's still my life's biggest passion after decades of doing it. So I started off just as a weekend warrior, detailing from the house, friends and family vehicles, moved on to detailing cars of a local car club, and then started to having more regular customers, and just grew to a point where I eventually was watching other YouTube channels, and I decided to start my own channel. And you can see the history. I did a video on my life story if you want to dig more into it. I share a lot of insights into my life and what got me to this point, right? So let's touch to the first topic, which was how much innovation is too much innovation. What do I mean by that? So of course we want things to evolve over time, right? If we go back to the early 1900s, when the first vehicles like the Model T, for example, were created, there wasn't such a thing as real paint protection or paint correction or detailing in general. The majority of the vehicles back then, I think, had like furniture paint or furniture varnish. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so they weren't evolved and certainly did not have clear coats like we have on modern vehicles. I think those started in roughly the 1980s. Don't quote me on that, but I digress. So detailing started to be a thing, and then eventually people wanted to take care of their finishes. So there was beeswax at one point. That's way before I was born. I'm not that old, which eventually turned into waxes, carnauba waxes. That eventually led to synthetic polymer paint sealants, right? In the 90s and 2000s. Eventually in the probably later part of the 2000s. Again, don't quote me on that, but then we started seeing the first coatings, right? Ceramic coatings that eventually switched over to a bit of graphene as well. Now, how big is that graphene story? I think there were a lot of promises made. Eventually, we discovered that the majority are ceramic coatings with reduced graphene oxide infused in them, not pure graphene. I don't think that has been done yet in those glass bottle vials, but they promised a lot of stuff like lowering surface temperature or preventing water spotting and so on and so forth. That didn't really pan out, and that will be a segue probably for the next one of the next topics. But as far as innovation goes, so of course we all want technology to move forward, right? But there's a lot of pressure from viewers to always get new stuff, because I think also the industry might be responsible for creating these expectations, right? Just look at SEMA. So the SEMA show in Las Vegas every year, it usually happens end of October, beginning of November. And that's basically the biggest car-related show in the world as far as tools, equipment, any aftermarket parts, certainly car detailing products as well. They're all there. So a lot of the detailing companies, they unveil new products at that SEMA event and other events as well during the year. They do that on their social media as well sometimes. Many companies now do virtual launches of their products. They don't necessarily attend those bigger shows. They prefer to shift their marketing dollars somewhere else, depending if they see return on investment by going to shows like SEMA, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of pressure, it seems, to constantly have them coming out with new products. Now, the pressure is more, I'd say, towards the consumer grade products or the big box store products. So the brands that are mostly found at your retail stores, like the Walmarts, like the Costco's. Here in Canada, we have Canadian Tire, or your auto parts stores in the US, like AutoZone or O'Reilly's, for example. In the UK, I think you guys have Halfords and a bunch of other stores. So, and when I say consumer brands, it's more like the retail available to the public type brands like Meguiar's, Turtle Wax, Adams Polishes, Griot's Garage. If I look at my shelf, there's a lot of them out there. Meguiar's, did I mention that one? So there's Mother's, there's basically all the readily available, easily accessible to the public, which you do not have to be a professional to purchase, right? And on the other side, it doesn't seem to happen as much for the pro grade companies. So for example, if I look at CarPro, G-Technic, Geon, if I look at Roar Coatings, if I look at maybe DIY Detail, they're in between, I think, consumer, prosumer, and professionals. But anyhow, I digress. So the more professional detailing brands like Koshemi as well, for example, Phoenix EOD. So there are brands there that probably have a bit less pressure because normally only prosumers, so an even smaller portion of the population or certified detailers would have access to or use on their either detailing stores, shops, or mobile detailers if they're mobile detailers, or if you're a DIYer but you're that like super high-end consumer that wants nothing but the best, you'll look into those prosumer or professional grade companies, right? And so why is there such pressure for the more consumer brands on the retail level to come out with crazy innovations and have all this pressure? So when I was discussing with a few of the CEOs and marketing managers in those brands, a common theme was popping up. And they said that, Pan, we have, like, let's say 2023 comes up, right? So the starting of the year, or the SEMA at the end of 2022. Well, a year prior to that, most often, they have to make presentations in front of the boards of brands like Walmart, those giants, to kind of tell them what innovations they're looking for this year. And often those big retailers, well, on their shelves, they want something appealing, something new, something amazing for the consumer. And so they're asking these brands, well, what new do you have for me this year? We want to see something cool on the shelves. You guys have to come up with something. There's your competitor that already has all this shelf space. If you want to gain more of that shelf space, you guys are going to have to come up with innovations that people are going to want to buy. So at the end of the day, the amount of spending from customers is key because they look at all those metrics, right? The amount of sales, the purchases, the end of the profits, the margins, all those kinds of things. You can't, obviously, well, corporations need to make money, they need to make profit, so they have to promote what sells. So now the hard part of that is that those, in consumer brands, there's also chemical guys, right? So again, Meguiar's, chemical guys, Turtle Wax, Mother's, Adams Polishes, Griot's Garage, all those big box stores, the classic brands that we all see though in those stores that are readily accessible at a lower price point compared to professional grade products. And so yeah, those brands now, they get pressured to saying we have to come up with innovation. So sometimes they'll either just take something they already had and change the name. Hopefully they don't really do that, but some might. Again, I'm not here to point any fingers. That's why I'm not naming specific names to point fingers at as far as who's doing bad things, who's doing great things. That is not the point. And anyways, there are some secrets that we'll never know unless you actually work for that brand. So it's only speculation. I don't like to do speculation. I prefer to base my opinions on facts and things that I actually know or have been shared to me by reliable sources that are actually in the business. So you have pressure now to come up with these innovations. So either you're going to reformulate something that you had, or you're going to try to come up with something new, but because that new technology hasn't been proven, you're launching something to market and you're crossing your fingers that you don't know how users are going to be using it, right? Some don't read the instructions, or we don't know long-term how it's going to pan out, because you might have tested something in a lab environment. You're doing all your scrub tests, your wash tests, your chemical resistance tests. You're doing, measuring for UV, for gloss, for slickness, ease of application. They're trying, those scientists and chemists, to get everything right, but they're working in a controlled environment with the tests that they have to them. They don't know once you launch something in the wild how people are going to use them, how things are going to turn out. There's different conditions, different methods, different weather, the mileage, what kind of maintenance people do, again, how people use their products, how they apply their products. There's so many different variables, it's hard to account for. And so those companies often, well, they'll launch new stuff, again, they'll cross their fingers. Sometimes it pans out, it becomes a crazy success, it goes viral. And other times it kind of dwindles down and like, right? It doesn't really end up to anything good, but that's okay as well. They have to do R&D, they have to do testing, they have to try things out. And hopefully we try to support them along the way and encourage the brands that are doing well to help them continue to innovate. Because don't forget, there is no one single company that has the best products in every category. It is impossible. There's no such unicorn out there. If that was the case, well, all the other companies would have to turn the keys, lock the doors, and shut down their business, because they'd go out of business. And that's not the case. If you see all these brands on the shelves, that's because they're thriving, they're surviving, some better than others, but still all of them have to be profitable at the end of the day, because they have, employees to pay, they have livelihoods, often they have shareholders that they have to please as well, if the company has gone public, or if they're part of a bigger consortium or a bigger conglomerate of companies, because there's a lot of big ones that buy off the smaller ones, right? And so on and so forth. So it just creates a lot of pressure. So my question to you guys would be, at which point is innovation just too much? And shouldn't we sometimes take a breather and let the technology mature instead of asking for something new every single year or every single month? Take, for example, ceramic coatings. They were doing quite well, right? So at the beginning, when they first were revealed to the public, they would only last a year to 2 years. They were very tacky on removal. People were freaking out with getting high spots. They were very difficult to level because, again, tacky on removal, very hard. You had to worry about the curing time. You had to apply often multiple layers, 2-3 layers, a top coat, a topper, a protection over the protection. It was never ending. So I understand why a lot of people from the public felt scared or worried to apply that on their own vehicles. So fast forward to a few years later, they get customer feedback, they improve the R&D, the materials, the raw materials improve, and the technology in itself just matured to a point where now you get one layer systems, a reduced curing time. Some have 2 hours, 12 hours, less than 24 hours. It's not like 24 to 48 hours as we had before. Also, they're much easier to apply. They're easy to level, easy to buff off. They're very forgiving, whether you let it sit on 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. It's not going to kill you if you kind of like, oh my God, you weren't on the dot right. So the technology has evolved now to a point where you get a lot of DIY being able to apply these coatings with no issue. You're going to get years of protection. So some will give you a year, 2 years. We've seen 3, 5 years. Now, of course, there has been some crazy claims of 7, 9+ years, lifetime claims, who knows? So nobody is going to have time to test that. Like, who's going to wait 9 years to see if a product pans out before making their decision? By that time, there's going to be a lot better products out there, or the technology will have changed. So you have to commit at one point. You have to make a purchasing decision. And how do you do that? Well, getting information. We're going to touch on that later as well, but get your information from multiple sources. Do your own tests. Before I started my own channel in 2016, keep that in mind. I started like in the 90s when I was 16 years old, and I was curious enough back then. I don't know if it's just because of my background. I studied in science. As you guys know, I went all the way up to the medicine faculty in university. I studied biochemistry and molecular biology. So that's my background in science. So that gives me a good insight when I discuss with the chemists in the field to better understand and to kind of take that information and make it more accessible to the public so they understand as well what's going on. But so to get back to the topic, we had to realize that, well, I was still interested in testing a lot of stuff, and we were hard pressed back in the days to find something that really lasted more than a month. I'll talk about that in the second topic when I talk about durability. But back then we only had like carnauba waxes, and 3 weeks to a month, that's pretty much what you expected. And a lot of them were super hard on removal. They were hard to apply. They'd leave this white stain all over your trim. It was just a mess, but we still enjoyed it, right? Because we wanted to have clean rides. I certainly was enjoying as a teenager driving my car around and having the cleanest car on the block. I always felt driving a clean car feels so much better. And I liked seeing the expression of my girlfriends at the time faces, or my friends when they'd step into the vehicle and go like, this is so clean. That to me felt so good. And I tried to inspire others to take care of their vehicles as well. And so we're lucky in this day and age now to have access to all these cool products that have pushed innovation. But I think there's a certain point where too much might be too much, because we're asking for trouble as well. If we're always demanding something constantly new, these companies can turn around and just invent things all the time. So if we look at the pro side of things, if I look at CarPro, for example, one of my favorite car detailing brands, right? They had their C-Quartz UK 3.0 coating released circa 2018 at this point. So we're going on 2, 4, maybe 5, 6 years since it was unveiled. And now just recently they unveiled like the next evolution for consumers, which is their D-Quartz Go Diamond Nano Fusion infused kind of coating. So it took them years before they did some innovation. There's a reason why. They were confident in their product. They didn't have to reformulate all the time, although maybe they did revisions without us knowing, but there wasn't major overhauls of the lineup. They just kept it stable and simple, and they were products that were known by people. And yes, C-Quartz UK 3.0, it's just a 2-year claim. A lot of products now have surpassed that a lot in terms of claim durability, ease of application, 1 layer required versus the 2 recommended layers for C-Quartz UK 3.0. But you know what? That coating from CarPro is still a staple. It is still one of the best consumer coatings that people can buy. It's one of the most trusted brands out there for the quality of the products. I don't think any people have true problems with CarPro, and so they didn't feel the need to innovate. And same applies to other companies as well, right? You're not going to see Geon coming out with a new coating every month. So they had their initial lineup of the Moz, the Synchro kits, the Pure, and the One for consumers. And many years later, them too, I think, was it 2020 when they launched their Evo line? And it's been the same lineup ever since. So they don't feel the need to change that because their chemicals and their formulations are that good. So consumer grade products as well, don't get me wrong. So they're not, I wouldn't compare professional to consumer grade. We're not going to compare a 3-month spray to a 5-year professional coating. That's not what we're here to do. Different budgets, different expectations, completely different stuff. So we're looking at these consumer brands now, but how are we expecting them, or why are we expecting them to change and to come up with new stuff every single day or every single month? So although some retailers might be asking innovation from the brands, my question to you would be, are you expecting that same level of innovation? Do you actually want something new every month or every week? I'd be very curious. Do you want something every year? Are you looking forward to all the new stuff? Is it necessary that the brands constantly produce these new things instead of maybe just fine-tuning what already exists to make it the best possible? What are your thoughts? Again, drop your thoughts as we go, right? In the comment section. It'll be fun to see. So that was the first topic. The second topic now leads to expectations on value and durability. Do we as consumers have way too high expectations nowadays, and how did that happen, right? So I think with the influx of social media in the early 2000s, and certainly now with YouTube channels and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, there's a lot more accessibility as far as information is concerned, and also sharing that information, right? You can spread that quickly in a community that shares the same passion or the same hobby as you do, which that's a cool thing, right? It's supposed to bring communities together. However, that ease of accessibility or the ease of sharing that information can also lead to expectations that sometimes might be a bit too crazy or too demanding. So if we look at the expectations for value. So as I was growing up, you were going to the store. There wasn't really this professional side of things, except these more, how would I call them? Car detailing products that were only reserved to like professional detailers, but not like the ones we have today, right? Other brands that had, for example, in car dealerships, they don't necessarily use the same pro brands as professional detailers do, because in most car dealerships, it's only car washers or valetters. They don't really use professional detailers. They're very rarely trained or skilled for that job. I should know I had a job as a student in a pretty big car dealership from a very popular brand as a teen. In the summers I was working there, and I saw the practices in the detailing department. And I was like, this is not detailing. And already at a young age, I knew that that was not the right way to do things. And that's why I always tell, by the way, when you buy a new car, do not accept anything as far as paint protection, those extra things they try to add on to you. Refuse anything. They sell cheap products for high resale value to increase the markup and margins and profits that they put on the vehicle. So all the things you meet with either the marketing or the F&I there at the end when you're done negotiating your vehicle price, all those extra add-ons, I always say no to that. Do it either yourself with quality products, or if you don't want to do it yourself, bring your vehicle to a professional detailer and have them do it right. Do it right with professional quality products or quality products. So yeah, the value at one point, those products that were on the shelves when you were going at your local auto parts store or retail store, you'd look at them, you buy them, that's what it is. The competition made it that they were pretty much the same thing. But nowadays with online and people cutting down middlemen, and a lot of brands are only online, they don't have retail locations, they don't have to pay employees, they don't have to pay rent for that kind of thing. So they can cut down on the pricing. So now the companies that do have retail stores or who are on shelf locations who have employees to pay and all that kind of stuff, now they have to figure out what the positioning is going to be. How do we price the product appropriately to stay competitive? Does that mean we're going to be cutting down on the performance or on the quality of the ingredients to reach that target? Who knows? All we can do is test and again, cross our fingers and hope that brands are not cheaping out and they're trying to stay competitive. But we also have to be reasonable. Can a $5 product really compete with a quality $100 product? Now, I'm not saying $100 from a company that is ill-intended and that is not producing quality products. No. So a true high quality product that is more higher priced with actual higher quality ingredients versus a super cheap product. If I look at soaps, for example, let's take an easy one. So you can get a $6 bottle of soap from an unknown brand from the dollar store even and wash your car with it. Is it going to wash your car? Yeah, to some extent. Are you going to have pleasure doing it? I don't know, you tell me. And then there are soaps that use higher quality lubricants, higher quality surfactants. All soaps are very different. Check out my battle video of the 15 different car soaps that I had. That will give you a great example of just how widespread the differences are. They're not all equal, they're not all made the same, and they're certainly not all priced the same. So there are some that have better lubrication, better raw ingredients, better scent, more foaming capabilities. Some have added protection in them, so on and so forth. Some can be used in direct sunlight, some not, some dilute better, some are more goopy. They are all different. There's a reason to that. So you have to try and figure out now, navigate in that endless sea of new products or brands, which ones will fit your bill the best. So value is also very subjective because not everyone has the same budget, and that I fully understand. Especially nowadays, we're in a financial crisis and not everyone has a big amount, and I totally get that. And that's why you'll see videos that I'll make on more accessible products, as much as I like the high-end stuff as well, and I'll do videos on there as well. And there's middle-priced or mid-range type of products that I'll do videos on. So I try to cater to pretty much everybody because I know not everyone has the same budget. I know people are very budget conscious as well. Others have what seems to be unlimited budgets, or they just prefer the higher-end things. That is fine too. So you have to figure out which bracket you're in. Are you looking for more entry level? Are you looking for something more prestigious or more luxurious or higher quality, higher end? It really depends on your needs at the end of the day. Don't let anyone else decide what you need. You have to decide what's best for you. And again, we're going to talk about that again in the video. So for value, it really depends on your budget, guys. Go according to that. Do not bust the budget, not for car detailing products. There's other things that I'm sure in your life you can spend your money on. Quality time with your friends, your family, that's number one priority. Of course, your priorities such as your mortgage, your car payments, all the things, the fixed expenses, that should always be your priority. Don't get into debt to purchase stuff that are considered a luxury, even an entry-level product. Let's be honest. You do not need to detail your car to survive. That's not a priority in life. We do this because we enjoy it, right? It's a passion. It's a hobby. For some, it might be your job. So if it's your livelihood, then that's a completely different topic. Obviously, you have to invest in your business and get, but again, I wouldn't want you to go overboard and to overspend before you make profits. Start off with something decent and reinvest the profits as your business grows and you find what would be best or what you want to target more. If you see your customers demand more consumer coatings, more ceramic coatings, well, then you're going to invest more in coatings. If you're known for more your interior detailing jobs, well, you're going to invest into higher quality or better performing tools and equipment, maybe for interior detailing, so on and so forth. But for consumers, please do not overspend. Certainly do not put yourselves in debt just to buy these. I know it's compelling. I was there once too as a teen. I was overspending. Believe me, in my life, I have spent countless amounts. We're talking maybe six figures, definitely in the 5-figure range for products and tools and equipment. It's just ridiculous. Over my lifespan, I had an obsession with detailing. So I say it's not a passion anymore, it's an obsession. But I digress. Like, even if you see my first videos on my channel, you'd see my cupboards in the back. They're already pre-filled with like way too many products. And that was just a part of the collection. There was more in the basement, more and more cupboards. It's just, oh my God. Even here, there's products in there in the shelves, in cupboards, in the basement, everywhere. There's just too much. And I still have to throw a lot of them away because I test a lot of stuff. Only 20% maybe makes it to videos. There's a lot that I just throw in the garbage. So yeah, it depends on your amount, your budget, and be happy and proud of what your budget allows you to get. Never feel that what you bought is not good enough. It should be good enough for you and make you happy. At the end of the day, what we want is to enjoy detailing and enjoy the results. I could get very good results with a $10 soap, just as I can get great results with a $30 bottle of soap. I can get good results with a $40 coating. I can get fantastic results with a $500 coating. So yes, there's going to be differences in those protections or in those products, in user experience, in durability, in many different factors. We're going to talk about what important factors are when you're making a purchasing decision. There's not just one factor, by the way. So price is definitely one of them. So pick something that fits your budget and just enjoy using that until you have a bigger budget or more free money or loose change to buy something else. That is totally fine. Now, the other aspect is durability, our expectations about durability. If you remember, I said a little earlier on in this video, when I was growing up, when I was 16, starting into detailing, we were hard pressed to find products on shelves that would last more than a few weeks to a month. The majority were just carnauba waxes, right? Liquid waxes, paste waxes, and they were not only hard to apply, but durability wasn't that kind of thing. And nobody was discussing this back in the day. Nobody was complaining that waxes weren't lasting. It was what it was. This is what you had. And then we saw trends of some waxes maybe starting to have 2 and 3 months of protection. Wow, okay. And then synthetic paint sealants came around. That was a pretty good revolution because synthetically engineered instead of the carnauba-based plants, right? That we're using that purified carnauba, which comes from the plants, the carnauba trees, down south in South America, well, Brazil most specifically. So now we're all of a sudden with synthetic paint sealants that are chemically engineered products to resist to more differences in conditions or weather and to last longer. So instead of 1 to 3 months with traditional waxes, we were now with synthetic paint sealants capable of lasting 3 to 6 months. So this was pretty cool. They were a bit easier on application and removal. So there was kind of this evolution at one point, or revolution. It was kind of a revolution at the time. And some were stacking now paint sealants with waxes to get the best of both worlds. So you get the durability of your sealant. On top, you put the wax to have that more warm kind of glow or feel, or that more organic kind of appearance, or just a bit more depth in the gloss, whatever people like. And so expectations started to rise, right? Companies were setting the bar up higher because now we had access to these products that could last longer. Fast forward now to when ceramic coatings came out. Now that completely blew people's minds. I remember at the beginning, a lot of people thought it was snake oil. Even today, some people still think ceramic coatings are impossible. It's snake oil. It cannot be. How can you put glass in a bottle? No, that's not how it works. Silicon dioxide, or SiO2, also known as silica, is one style of ceramic coating, but it's just one part of the ingredients that are in there. And that SiO2 is also part of sand. And with sand, you can also make glass, hence the term glass coatings. So it's not like you have liquid glass in there. It's kind of liquid glass if you're looking at pure chemistry wise, but you're not applying a glass layer. You're just applying a resin-based protectant on your vehicle. It's a semi permanent form of protection that will last many, many years instead of just a few months, like traditional waxes and paint sealants. See it like that. So just something that has higher performance, higher resistance to washes, higher resistance to chemicals, UV protection, the gloss, the slickness, great hydrophobic properties. Now they kind of introduced the self-cleaning properties with that water beading and sheeting, or the prevention of a lot of the dirt easily sticking. So it's a lot easier to wash during your maintenance washes. Some people thought that self-cleaning necessarily meant that the car cleans itself. No, it just means that the car is easier to wash during your maintenance washes. And so now we had products that started lasting a year with the coatings. That eventually led to 2 years. We saw products that were pushing 3+ years. They came out with claims of 5 years. Now we're seeing, I think that's becoming a bit too much, but 7 and 9+ years. Okay, at one point, we also have to realize that durability is directly linked to many variables. Not everyone will have the same durability on their vehicles for many variables. Once again, which ones? There are many variables. For example, first of all, what kind of prep you did on your paint. Did you strip off your wax before you applied a sealant? If not, the ceramic coating. If you didn't strip the protection off, well, guess what? The ceramic coating is not properly going to bond onto the clear coat, and it's not going to last as long. The properties of the wax and the coating will eventually reject themselves because they are meant to repel, and your coating is not going to have a surface to bond to. Next, the application. Some people, well, no, I should say there's a lot of people out there when I discuss in the comments and they ask me to troubleshoot, like, what happened? Can you help me out? The few first questions that I ask is tell me, because obviously I can't troubleshoot at a distance. I wasn't there to see you. So tell me what you did for prep and how did you apply it? Often it's user error. We see that they were not following the instructions. If the coating asks for a curing time on the surface before you start leveling of 5 minutes and you wipe it in 30 seconds, well, again, you're not following the instructions. It might not bond properly. If the coating asks for 24 hours of curing without exposure to water or rain, if you exposed your vehicle to water or rain after an hour, again, you didn't follow the instructions. If you didn't do a panel prep or a panel wipe beforehand, if you didn't do any decontamination steps and you applied the coating, that can apply to any protection, by the way, right? Prep is important in following the instructions, so how you apply it. So once all of that is done as well, what is the maintenance that you're performing? So even ceramic coatings and graphene coatings, they are not magical force fields. They do need some form of maintenance. Now, some recent ones do not officially require toppers. That is fine, but still you're gonna have to at least use regular washes to remove that dirt, grime, accumulated traffic film, and the contamination if you don't wanna clog the pores, if you don't wanna clog the coating, if you don't want all that accumulated traffic film or road grime to mask the properties of the coating underneath. So you have to do some form of maintenance, regardless if it's just washing or washing plus applying your topper. Who doesn't wanna boost the gloss and the slickness after a maintenance wash? I know I certainly do. We all like that, so that's totally fine. So maintenance is another big one, right? Also, the conditions that you're submitting your vehicle in. For example, if we have a vehicle that is only garage kept, that is only driven during the weekends, and that is in California with great weather, well, that protection will obviously, it's common sense, last a lot longer than a vehicle with the same protection that is applied onto, but however, it's a daily driver, is driven every single day. It stays outside in the elements 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it might be in harsher conditions like in Montreal weather with our crazy winters, which start like late October sometimes and finish in mid-April. So road salts, calcium, all that kind of stuff, magnesium, it can be exposed to a bunch of harsh elements as well, not only the weather outside. So obviously the coating won't, or the protection won't last as long in that scenario. I think we can all agree to that. So when manufacturers come out with claims, because they have to do something at one point, some prefer to go to claim with durability to real world washes, others do the durability claims in terms of years or months. Well, that's sometimes dangerous because people expect it. If you're claiming 5 years, they're expecting their coating to last 5 years. The reality is in the real world, not everybody takes care of their vehicle the same way. Not everybody does the same mileage. A car that drives 5,000 miles a year will see the protection last a lot longer compared to somebody that does 30,000 miles a year. Completely different scenarios. They don't get the same exposure to different real world conditions. And so, at one point, we have to be more realistic and say, listen, if I reach, I don't know, 60, 70%, am I still happy? Sometimes I'll see people like nitpicking so much, like a product, let's say, will claim, for example, I don't know, 36 months of protection. Person made it 30 months in, so just shy of those 3 years, right? And they're complaining, I didn't reach 3 years. My God, this is horrible, garbage product. and you paid the coating, what, I don't know, $60. I understand. For some, 60 is a lot. That's fine. We're not talking about what money is too big or not. We're talking more the expectations of durability versus what you purchased. So you're not happy that a product actually made it through 30 months? That's like almost 3 years that a protection has been there. I find that hard to believe. Why? So, well, there's other products that claim 5 years. Well, buy those products. Yeah, but that product costs $300. Okay, so you can't have everything for everyone at every budget point. If there was one $10 product that could last forever, don't you think that would be the only product that would be sold and none other would be sold? No, I think it's important to keep companies at least hold them a bit responsible of the claims that they're coming out with. So yes, I believe in that. However, we also have to be realistic, and you also have to look at how did you apply it, the prep, the conditions. So you have to put all those factors in and kind of balance things out. So there are sometimes coatings also for some people, or protections. I'm always talking about coatings. That's my favorite form of paint protection, by the way, but I know some people still like waxes or paint sealants. That's fine. But some people, some products will work for them. They might not work for others. We're going to talk about that in this video. So what works for you might not work for another, and what might not work for you might work fantastically well for another. So just be respectful of what people like and do your own thing. Don't mind what others do. Do your thing. Do what works best for you. Buy what you like, buy what you want to use, and just use it often. So, yeah, the durability, it's getting harder and harder. I don't know. Is it really important to you if somebody claims, I don't know, 48 months of protection and, I don't know, you get 45 months, you get 36 months. How important is durability on its own important to you? And how invested are you into that? Is that one of your first criteria that you're looking into when purchasing a product? Because we're going to talk about criteria of purchases later on. But yeah, I'd be curious, how important is it? And are we not lucky in this day and age that we actually have products that can last for years that aren't super expensive versus like 2 decades ago when we had stuff that only lasted a few weeks to maybe a month? I don't know. That's food for thought. For me, I think we're quite blessed with all these things now that can last that long. It's just technology has evolved to a point where there are not that much garbage products or garbage companies these days. Kind of like cars evolved, right? In the 80s, there was a lot of absolutely crap cars. And nowadays, even brands that were laughed at initially, like Kia and Hyundai, now they offer compelling things, and they're not maybe quite at the reliability level of Toyota and Honda, for example. I'm a car guy as well. I love cars. But they're definitely up there. They have a value proposition, and they're definitely competing for customers' money now. And nobody's, I think, laughing at them anymore. So same thing applies in the detailing world. I don't think there's that much. Yes, there are absolute garbage companies, but more on they have bad practices and bad intentions. But the majority of the good brands out there come out with at least decent products to half decent or very good. And I think that's one thing I like to do, is to help you guys navigate through this endless sea of products and brands, and just share what works for me, and hopefully it works for you at the end of the day. If it doesn't, that's okay too. If you prefer other things, I'm also okay with that. So the third topic, what do I think, or what's my opinion of chemical resistance tests? Now, I'm not going to talk about other channels that do those, if they still do those, but I'm going to talk about the chemical resistance tests that I used to do. I don't do those as much, and you'll fully understand why. So our chemical resistance, what do I think of them? Well, I think they're, and as I said in my own videos, these are only meant for entertainment purposes. These are supposed to be for fun. I would not rely solely on that to make a purchasing decision, because you're going to run into a brick wall pretty fast. Why is that? First of all, why are they fun? Well, who doesn't want to see something subjected to a quote-unquote torture test or a barrage or an onslaught of different chemicals and still see something beating at the end? Yeah, that is cool. Do I agree? Yeah, it does look cool. Why is it not the be-all, end-all? First of all, when we used to do those chemical resistance tests a few years ago, I think it was more to respond, first of all, to viewers who wanted to see those things, right? They want to see that. So at one point you're like, okay, I know when viewers request a lot of things, I like to sometimes answer that through a video and see how that works. And so some enjoyed it, but a lot of them were quick to say, well, let's say a product that failed actually did well for them in real life, but it failed at real world resistance. And the opposite was also true. A product that was seen to be doing quite well on many channels that were doing chemical resistance tests, well, in the real world, it didn't even pan out to half of the claimed durability. So what happened? So after talking to a few brands, some of them were telling me, like, and some chemists, Pan, you know that we can engineer chemical resistance into products, right? We're not stupid. Like, we see what you guys are doing on YouTube or on these social media pages. And when we notice that, okay, you're spraying degreasers and acid wheel cleaners and wheel and tire cleaners and APCs and Citral 266 and a bunch of other stuff that you guys were spraying on, well, it is very simple for them to chemically engineer the water behavior. Because by the way, that is the only thing a chemical resistance tests evaluates, is if there's any hydrophobic properties at the end. So water beading might turn into quicker sheeting, so you might have lost the beading properties, but that does not mean that the protection is not on the surface. My friend Ivan LaCroix on the DIY Detail channel has talked about this extensively in his videos, so I highly encourage you, again, to get information from different sources, people who have been there for decades and decades, or some chemists as well. You guys know I have access. I've done a lot of interviews with leading industry chemists, and I just love those because we can kind of nitpick their brains and kind of ask those questions. If you want me to do more, by the way, let me know. I'm always open to questions, and I'll ask those tough questions to them, and I'll see their response. So they were telling me, yeah, we can chemically engineer that, and that, you know, that doesn't necessarily correlate to real world resistance, right? Or durability. So I was like, I think you guys are right, because that's what also the feedback I was getting from my viewers, right? Who were saying, well, some who are good chemical resistant, well, they're not good durability-wise in the real world. And the opposite is also true. Some products might fail in some of the testing that we see, but when I apply it on my vehicle, it's been on there for like forever, and it does meet the claims from the company. So what is happening? So again, chemistry is very complicated. A product is not just one raw ingredient that you're mixing up with water, putting it on a shelf, and that's what you call protection. They actually have to do a lot of R&D. Now I'm talking about the brands that have good intentions. Once again, the reliable and reputable brands, we all know who they are. And so they have to do a lot of R&D, and they have to figure out what kind of balance they want. Are they pushing the product for more durability as far as years or months are concerned? Do they want more gloss? Do they want more slickness? Do they want more resistance on the pH scale? What are customers looking for? Do they want something that's going to resist multiple washes if a person likes to wash their car twice weekly like I do? Do they want something that's going to resist to the elements, to the UV rays? Do they want something that can resist to acidic contents from bug guts, for example, or from tree sap, or from those kinds of things? Do we want products that have less water spotting issues than others? So there's always a balance. You can't get everything in one product. Not one product does all of that the best of the best. It's always a question of 8 out of 10 for this, 10 out of 10 for that, and overall, how does the product perform, or does it answer to your criteria? So with all these challenges now, there gets to a point where people can chemically engineer things to look fantastically well for certain tests, right? So if they knew, for example, I don't know, everybody's doing UV testing with different apparatuses, which by the way, we don't really have access to what the true labs have access to. The same for gloss. A lot of people will buy gloss meters, and you'll notice that on one channel, for example, for a specific product, when reading through a gloss meter, the product somehow makes the surface less glossy through the readings of the gloss meter. But then the person will also say that, well, in real life, the appearance, there's something that the gloss meter cannot account for example, the jetting effect, so the darkening of the surface, or the candy-like appearance, so what it looks like. If you take a product like Bead Maker that gives you great gloss, that most of that gloss comes from its appearance on the surface. It has that candy-like effect, right? And so other channels will have the gloss reading the gloss meter readings, and they'll see crazy increases in gloss. So boost of 2, 3, 7 gloss units. Anything under 3 gloss units visually, you can't necessarily discern, by the way. So who do you believe at this point? Well, those are not as scientific as you'll have access to in a true lab. So you have to use your own eyes at one point. How does it look like to you? Does it increase the surface? That's why I see a lot of those pro detailers out there, or even consumers. Pan, just look at the surface. And that's one thing I like to do. You don't see me using gloss meters on my channel, is because I want to rely on what my eyes see. There's sometimes a gloss meter will tell you that there's no increase in gloss. However, the visual impact, when you're looking at it, you can clearly see there's a different effect or a different appearance. So if that's good for you, fantastic. There's other times that the gloss meter will give you plus 5 GU or gloss units. And technically, right, on paper, it should be more glossy, but you're looking at the paint. you can't really tell the difference. It doesn't look different. So that to you doesn't look glossier. So you wouldn't base your decision or your purchasing decision on that, right? So again, we have to test different things and find what works for us. So if I look at a prime example, a product that often comes up for chemical resistance, why doesn't everybody make something like the Turtle Wax Ice Seal and Shine? Fantastic value for money, right? When I first purchased it years ago in 2018, when I first tested this, you guys wanted me to test Seal and Shine, test Seal and Shine. Okay, I did. It was, I think, $6 or $7 Canadian dollars, so maybe $5 US. Back in the day, of course, inflation, COVID, price increase, shortages, supply chain, I understand all that. All prices of everything increased over time, right? Not only groceries and the real world stuff and gas prices, but stuff in the detailing world. And so it's still a great value for money. And don't get me wrong, it is one of the best paint sealant sprays that you can purchase. And so it has crazy chemical resistance. I personally did chemical resistance tests with it, and you can go check them out, by the way. And it seemed to resist pretty much everything we were throwing at it. And not only me, but you can look for other channels as well. Pretty much everybody who was testing it was blown away by the chemical resistance. Now, if we were basing ourselves solely on the chemical resistance, we'd think, wow, that product is going to last for years on the surface, right? And to their credit, even Turtle Wax does not claim years of protection. And this is a direct quote, up to 6 months of durability claim for Turtle Wax Ice Seal and Shine. But if you look at the chemical resistance, right, crazy beating, it can survive an onslaught of different chemicals. Why does it not resist multiple years? Because it is not a full-blown coating in one of those glass or aluminum vials. It is just a paint sealant. Now, some new revision labels mention a bit of ceramic technology, but overall it's still just a spray sealant, might be infused with SiO2. Who knows? I think the chemist mentioned that in one of my videos I had about Seal and Shine, one of the reformulations in it. But I digress. So it's just still a spray product. It's meant for low cost, ease of application, and will give you good results. So good slickness, good durability, and decent durability. Of course, not years, but 4 to 6 months. That's what I get in real life. And I think that's the consensus out there. The majority of people, they get anywhere from 3 to 6 months on average in the real world, in real world conditions. And so, yeah, not years and years of protection, but if you look at the chemical durability or chemical resistance, you'd think, wow, man, this resisted everything. It's going to last for years and years, 5 years. It should compete with any ceramic coating. And that's not the case in reality. Now, the same can also be true about ceramic coatings. If we use the appropriate amount of chemicals, I don't care which coating you have on the surface, there will be a breaking point at some point, or there's going to be a specific product the chemists did not think of that people might use in a torture test that will break through it eventually. Now, well, Pan, don't companies claim that their ceramic coatings have chemical resistance? Yes, they do claim that. They'll even often give you pH scale resistance. You'll see sometimes 0 to 13, pH 2 to 11, pH 2 to 13, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I think their message is, yes, it can resist some chemicals to a certain extent. For example, in a real world scenario, if you're cleaning your wheels and tires, you're spraying the wheels and tires with a wheel and tire cleaner, right? So there might be some slight overspray that will fall on the wheel arches, on the paintwork. That is totally normal and is to be expected. You're not there with like lightly misting very specific microns of area, right? You're just generally using the product. So the coating will resist that normal use. That's totally normal because it's just lightly spraying on there. You're not working that in with a microfiber towel, letting it dwell on the surface. No, it's overspray. And once you're done, you fully rinse your wheel and tire. Also rinsing that surface, you're eventually going to wash the vehicle, right? And you're going to neutralize whatever might have been on there, very minute quantity, and it will not have affected. Case in point, I wash my car twice weekly. The coating is still on there. At this point, it's over 2.5 years. I did a 2.5 year update. And I use wheel and tire cleaners. I've used acidic shampoos. I've used very high pH snow foams for degreasing the surface, removing traffic film. I've submitted it to quite a lot, and the thing is still there. But I did not douse the paint itself with gallons of or tons of wheel cleaner or acidic wheel cleaners or round after round of degreaser and bug remover and iron removers and tar removers and Citral 266. And because at one point you're going to break through. I don't care how good your product is. Even the Roar coatings. This one has won the best professional grade coating in my 2023 awards. It's been doing fantastic. It costs an arm and a leg, but the performance is definitely there. If I want to make it fail, I will make it fail. It is actually not that bad to do, right? I would take a few products, boom, it's gone. Does that mean that the product is bad? No, it actually lasted over 2.5 years and it's still pretty much 95% of its initial performance. It's going that strong. So would I be disappointed that it failed a few rounds of chemical resistance tests? No, why? I would never have bought that product if I relied myself solely on the chemical resistance tests. Another case in point, if you guys remember my previous BMW M550i, I had, at the end it had a coating, I think it was for over 2 years at the point before I got my Porsche that it had been on it. Anyways, it was the OptiCoat Pro Plus. So I think the claim on that one is 7+ years of durability, professional grade coating. It had even been applied by my friend Ivan Lacroix, who used to be vice president over at OptiCoat. So all the conditions were there, right, for it to be durable. It was doing amazingly well. Real world updates, performing like day one, fantastic, 90 to 95% there after 2 years. Everything was still working amazing. But I decided to prove a point and to say there was a video on how do you remove a ceramic coating. And in the end, we concluded that the only way to fully remove an existing coating or any protection for that by that means is through machine polishing. So chemical resistance tests can damage, can scar, can potentially alter the hydrophobic properties, right? Going from beading to sheeting, but that doesn't mean that the coating is fully removed. So I submitted my own vehicle with the OptiCoat Pro Plus, top grade, top tier coating from Dr. David Gadusi, one of the inventors, by the way, of the modern clear coat. He knows what he's talking about. And so I did round after round after round of hitting it with chemicals. And guess what? At the end, yep, it was scarred. There was no more water beading. The sheeting was super slow. And initially I was bummed out, right? I was looking at that, holy crap. Like I thought this coating was supposed to resist the chemicals from the entire pH range, 0 all the way up to 13. So how am I seeing that it seems to be failing? So of course, I like to discuss this with actual chemists, people who R&D these, or people who have been in the business. And so I spoke to Ivan and I asked him, what's going on here? And that's when I first was introduced to the concept of no worries. He started laughing actually. And I was like, why? That's not funny. That's my car, man. And this coating is an expensive coating. And he's like, the thing is, you're just altering the surface tension. You're just altering the top properties of the coating on top, which means the hydrophobic properties. That doesn't mean that the protection isn't there. What you're likely seeing is that the coating was scarred. So somehow the molecules were agitated. They were shocked, right? Because it's a barrage of different pH levels. You're going from neutral to acidic to basic or caustic, or you're changing that pH scale up and down. So you're going low on the pH scale from 0 all the way up to 6 with the more acidic type products. You're going to be around that pH 7 for the neutral. You're moving up to 8 to 14 for the more higher pH, the alkaline level kind of thing. And so you're shocking those properties. And he said, you're going to see after a few days when you're going to wash your vehicle, properly neutralize those chemicals on there. And you're going to see with time, the thing is going to settle back. It's going to unswell from where it was or bring back its properties to where it initially was and kind of have this self-healing. Not the same self-healing as some PPF films have or some rare coatings with the heat there or the UV rays that can remove light swirls or scratches. More self-healing in terms of the properties of the molecules that are there in that resin that were kind of scarred. Well, they'll get back, they'll gel back together, they'll reform that initial bond that they have, because the majority of good coatings will also link to the clear coat underneath. It's not just it's sitting on top, it's filling in some void, right? And so that eventually came back, and I did notice that, and I put that in the video as well because I found that was cool. It just came back to where it was initially. So if I had relied only on the chemical resistance test at that point, I would have been super disappointed and said I would never recommend OptiCoat Pro Plus. It's a bad coating. I won't have it ever again. And I would have forgotten that, you know what, it's been on there forever and it was still going strong. So if it wasn't for that thing that we would never submit our vehicles to, who in their right minds would wash their cars in the real world and throw a bunch of wheel acid, a bunch of wheel cleaners on the paint, a bunch of degreasers, a bunch of APCs, a bunch of Citral 266 sealant killers, as dubbed the sealant killer, glass cleaners, degreasers, whatever you guys can think of. You're not going to do that multiple times. Actually, would you? I dare people to do that. Whatever coating you think is amazing that's applied on your vehicle, go for a few rounds of those chemicals. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't dare risk that. And it wouldn't be super smart to do that either, because why would you submit your coating to that kind of level? Other than pure entertainment purposes, for those who can resist that, whatever, okay. But yeah, that would have prevented me from enjoying the product and actually recommending it or potentially having it on my own vehicles in the future. So that's why I started to do less and less of those chemical resistance tests, because it was clear, even from the beginning, I was still saying this is just for entertainment purposes and for fun. But when I realized that, well, first of all, chemists are smart. They can engineer chemical resistance if that's what people want to see, because they know what is tested on YouTube and they can kind of counteract that, and that doesn't correlate to long-term durability at all. The opposite. So if you can have a high chemical resistant product that will not last for years, you can have a product that will last for years and not have high chemical resistance. So you can't just rely on that factor. There are many, many factors before you pick a detailing product. So again, are chemical resistance tests cool? Yeah, they are. Is that the only factor you should base your purchase on? If somebody out there tells you only rely on chemical resistance tests, I don't know what to say. You're going to be missing a lot. And you might be disappointed as well. So no, it is not the only factor. But yes, of course, we do want for normal use that our protection on there is not going to be knocked out because you washed your vehicle with a pH neutral shampoo, right? If you have a coating that is supposed to last 5 years, you just use a maintenance neutral pH shampoo, and then after 2 washes, the coating is gone. No, that's not good. We want to be able to resist that. If there's a bit of overspray from your wheel and tire cleaner that falls on the paint, you rinse that off, you wash the car, no problem. It should be able to resist that as well, right? Those kinds of things, or a bit of glass cleaner, use it on the glass, somehow it oversprays on the paint, that should be no issue. You want to use an IPA to wipe down the paint eventually once in a while to further degrease, or you want to apply a layer of a topper on top, so you have, I don't know, a base layer of a ceramic coating. You know there's a topper, for example, you have the Seaquartz UK 3.0, you apply Gliss 2.0 on top of that coating, or for example, you might have G-Technic CSL and you have Exo V5 on top. Once Exo dies off a few years later, you want to apply another topper, you're going to wash the car, you can use an IPA to make sure that the coating is fully ready, fully stripped of any residue or oils or things like that, and to ensure a better bond of the topper you're going to apply on top. The coating should be able to resist that, no problems. So don't overthink chemical resistance tests. I hope I've been clear enough. Fun and entertainment, that's all the credibility I'll give to those. Topic number 4. So how do we evaluate if a product is good? What are we looking for in a product? First of all, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know, put a list. What are the most important criterias for you for a good product? And I think we're going to notice a lot of varying answers. Obviously, not everybody's the same. Not everybody has the same budget. Not everybody's looking for the same things. However, there will be some common denominators or some common threads that come up of things that pretty much everybody's looking for. So you have to look at, well, one of the most important things nowadays, I think for many, is value. What is the price? Is there value for money? It doesn't mean because a product is very expensive that it doesn't have any value. No. If in its category it's expensive, but it offers more features and more value-packed things, well, then it is still a good value in its category. So value isn't always necessarily equal to that lower price. So value is definitely a thing. Bang for buck, basically. Does it give you a good bang for the money you're spending? The other point often people are going to look at, what is the real world durability? So the only thing we can rely on when a product is brand new is the claimed durability until we have time to test it in real world conditions, right? Remember, when you see all these YouTube reviews, and I include myself in there, when we have our initial thoughts on a new product, we might like it right away. Absolutely. It could be easy to apply. It gives you that great gloss, that slickness. The initial washes went well. 1 or 2 months later, before you pull your video out or whatever time may be, everything is going well. Well, then a few years down the line, I think that's why I like to do real world updates 6 months later, 3 months later, a year later, 2 years later, to update the real world performance of how it's going. Because sometimes you can be disappointed and some products might not live up to your claims. And by giving constructive feedback, some brands can also improve. Case in point, Avalon King. So when they first were introduced to me, a lot of my viewers wanted me to test them out. They were the easiest coating to apply, definitely for consumer grade, and still today it's one of the easiest to apply. It worked well. I did some initial chemical resistance, remember that? And it did well in chemical resistance tests. We did some hardening tests. It hardened in a pan, so it was cool to see kind of the layer that was there, so we can see that it was hardening up. It had all the attributes. It did great gloss, great slickness. You can apply it on multiple surfaces. There was a fantastic price, especially given the promo code that we had for my viewers, so on and so forth. And so it did quite well. So on a few test vehicles over time, I did some updates, 6 months, a year, so on and so forth. And then I did one final update on my brother's vehicle for 2 years. And it had only resisted roughly 18 or so months-ish. So he didn't really maintain it. It was very poorly maintained. So you had to take that with a grain of salt. But still, I didn't bash the brand. What I did was give positive and constructive feedback. So in these conditions, and I explained what they were, my brother leaves his vehicle sometimes outside. He had just now recently purchased a vehicle, but a home, but back then he was living in a condo. So didn't really have any place to wash his vehicle. I think he was washing it a few times a year in a car wash, which is not good at all. So higher pH, very caustic, very harsh chemicals on the surface and exposed to the elements. We have harsh winters here in Montreal, Canada, road salts, all that kind of stuff that were staying on the surface for so long. So that was eating through. So the fact that we got 18 months was still very good. But the company claimed 2+ years of protection. So I was a bit disappointed in terms of durability in that specific scenario. But many of my viewers, you guys were quick to remind me that, hey, in my conditions, and I take care of my vehicle, it actually lasted for over 3 years. And a lot of them were super happy. Read the comments in the videos. I think that's the most important thing, to have real world feedback. So in that case, was I wrong to say it only lasted 18 months? No, because that was the reality of what I saw. I don't like lying. That's what we got, right? And so the company was listening to feedback, not only from viewers, but for me as well, and other content creators that have tested their products. And they understood that durability was one of the main topics, but as far as some weather is concerned. So yes, the product could last maybe 3 years in the perfect conditions, but not everybody lives in sunny California. So some of us do have harsh winters. There's parts of Northern Europe as well that go through crazy winters like we do in Montreal, Canada, and so on and so forth. So they had to kind of readjust, and they came back to the table and they released the AS9 Max version. So this new version that was unveiled towards the end of 2023, with claimed higher durability and all the new attributes that they're looking for, and all while keeping that same level of application. So how long is that going to last? They're claiming now 3+ years of durability. Well, time will tell. That's one thing I say. Initially, it can be fantastic for anybody. Anybody testing it will see. You're going to see the gloss, you're going to see the slickness, you're going to see how easy it is to apply. The price can be decent for you, but only real world testing will see how long it lasts. I don't care even if it lasts chemical resistant tests. What counts the most for you guys, I think the most important, unless I'm wrong, is, well, how does it last in the real world on my actual vehicle in real time over the years, right? So we'll report back. If it's not good, it's not good. I actually removed the Avalon King Armor Shield 9 in my 2023 Car Detailing Products Awards for the Consumer Grade Coating of the Year because it did not meet my expectations. So hence, it's not because I will not recommend it long-term for somebody who wants long-term durability, although I still recommend it to somebody who's looking for the easiest consumer grade coating to apply. If you're just starting, it will still give you decent protection. I know it will give you at least a year, even if you're horrible in maintenance and you didn't really apply it super well, but it should give you 2+ years if you're in the right conditions. So I'm not too worried about that. But again, we need time to evaluate these things, and it's fine once you get those results that are come in, you have new data to work with. Well, then you can readjust your recommendations, or you yourself as viewers, if you're happy with the product, you can buy more. And if you're unhappy, well, you can steer away and buy something else. At the end of the day, brands are responsible for their own claims. I remember a marketing VP from one of the big brands reminding me that, like, Pan, you guys, all you're doing is you're doing the best to present products and to help guide people through this endless sea of products, right? So you're either reviewing a product, testing a product, whatever it may be. But the real responsibility is upon us, the makers of these products, or the car detailing brands, to live up to our expectations. Don't ever forget that. The bad brands will be weeded out and the good ones will rise to the top, because cream always rises to the top. So I found that interesting and I kept that quote in my head, because yes, the people we need to hold responsible for the durability of the products or the ultimate product performance is the people making these products. So hopefully we do that through constructive criticism and encourage them to do better in the future. So other than those criteria, what else is there? There can be gloss. There can be slickness, there can be ease of application. More and more now, we don't want products that are super hard to apply, because again, detailing is supposed to be fun, right? And that's regardless if you're a professional detailer or a consumer. I've never heard of a pro say, you know what, I want a product to be super hard to apply. I want something that will give me a headache. I want something that's going to be a nightmare. I want a 5-tier coating system that I'm going to have to work on for 2 days. I want a 48-hour curing time before I release the vehicle to a customer. I've never heard that. Everybody wants something easier to apply, that you spend less time and energy on, that will still give you the great results. That way you're spending less time working and more time enjoying. So I think that's one ultimate goal for many of the brands out there. So yeah, there's many criteria that I think you guys have to keep in mind when you're looking for a product. So again, value, bang for buck, the durability. Does it have UV protection? If UV protection is important for you, it might not be for others. Keep in mind, once again, your clear coat, that's where the most of the UV protection is. I don't care what anybody says. The paint has been engineered with UV inhibitors in it, and those tend to migrate over time to the top of the clear coat. And that's why when clear coat diminishes over time, because yes, it fades away, that's when the paint starts to oxidize. So what we're applying on top for paint protection, regardless if it's a wax, a sealant, or ceramic coating, it is to add some additional protection, just like a windbreaker jacket over your skin to protect you against the brunt of the elements, while you're protecting your clear coat from damage. So the protection might fail. That's why they're all semi-permanent forms of paint protection, or not permanent forms of paint protection. They're just there to be on top of the coating to make the vehicle easier to wash and to protect the clear coat that's underneath. Always keep that in mind. So durability. Then you might look, some might be interested in some chemical resistance. That's fine, but it should not be your only criteria. Again, for all the points we discussed about today. The gloss might be important for some. What appearance? Gloss is not only shiny, right? Sometimes it alters the appearance. Some like the candy-like effect. Some prefer a more warm glow, a more organic type feel. Some prefer the more synthetic, ultra sharp, more cold looking appearance. That depends on what you guys like. So that might be a differentiating criteria. You're looking for slickness. So I think that's also some things that I know I like. For example, when I like to touch the paint with the back of my hand when I'm done detailing a vehicle, and I just love that. It's so soothing and so satisfying, right? Touching like slick paint. You guys let me know, am I crazy? I just love that. And so what else are we looking at? Is it a brand that you like and you enjoy and you respect? Some products might be absolutely amazing and stellar, but you know what? The people working for the company are horrible individuals, or they have bad business practices. I will have nothing to do with them. And you guys, I'm sure, will too. Maybe they don't treat their employees right, or they've done something on social media that you don't agree with and that don't meet your values. Do not give them your money. If they don't correspond to your core values, I don't care how good their products are, you should not give them time of day. And so, yeah, once again, it's just an endless pool of, I could go on and on about criteria. Also, the ease of application. A lot of people now, as I said before, they're looking for easier things. You don't want to worry about high spots, flashing time, curing time. Is it going to be difficult on removal? What am I going to do with all this stuff? Like what happens? And I see it in the comments sometimes. People overthink the moment before they even started to apply the product. What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? So scenarios. Well, that's because there are still some products out there, unfortunately, that do not give a good customer experience. Talking about customer experience, another criteria can be customer service. If you know a brand in particular offers amazing good service, that you know you called them up in the past, they answered your worries, or you had an issue, broken bottle, spilled bottle, product was not living up to expectations, maybe you had a bad batch, they sent you a new product or a replacement, offered a refund, or they were polite, they guided you through the tips and tricks that you wanted, or they helped you troubleshoot. Well, all that plays for me a long way to go as well. So if I'm looking at two equivalent products at equal price, maybe there's a brand that offers better customer service. Guess who I'm going to pick? Yeah, it's going to be the brand with better customer service, because they show that they actually care. So do they answer your comments on social media when you ask for some questions? I know some brands read the comments and they try to participate. I know certainly on my channel, I always encourage them to interact directly with viewers. You guys want to hear from them directly. And what better feeling is it? I know you guys like, for example, when I reply to comments, I'm one of the only big YouTube channels that replies to every single person every single day. I think that has importance for me because I'm close to my audience that way. I'm more accessible. Although it does take me up to 4 hours currently, because with almost 1 million subscribers, I receive thousands of messages daily. So yes, it does cut down on my personal time and family time. It does get overwhelming, I won't lie. Sometimes it's tough to just sit there and reply, but I know it's appreciated from you guys, and I appreciate you. And that's one way I have of giving back to the community, is just being there and answering your questions and thoughts and opinions and sharing passions. And I know I share a lot of common passions and hobbies, because I have a lot of hobbies that I share with you guys. So it's just fun interacting. So I highly encourage brands to interact with people. If you're out there for the right reasons and you actually care about your products, you should actually care about your consumers. By the way, is that important for you? Do you give any importance to the level of customer service a brand provides? And is it important for you if you see them implicated in the community, if you see them replying to comments, if you see them actually being engaged and involved around the detailing community? Let me know. Maybe you don't care. You couldn't care less if they never answer the phone or never answer emails or never reply to comments, or you just want to buy the product and hear none of what they have to say. That's okay too. It's your decision. It's your life. But I'm curious, do you think it's important? So yeah, as you can tell, we're at 2 hands full of criteria. There are a lot more than that. I could go on again for time and time again, but those again that's my criteria. Imagine that. You guys must have different criterias, or maybe there's some in there that you share. So let me know, what are the criteria that's important to you? So tell Pan, when I buy a new product, drop a comment in the comment section, say, this is what I'm looking for. This is the most important to me. It'll be fun for brands as well. Don't forget, they're reading the comments on the Pan the Organizer channel, and they'll see what my viewers actually want. You guys are the ones buying the products. Show them what you want in a product. So then we move on to the next topic, negativity on social media. Oh boy, is there a lot of that. And everybody, I don't care if you're a brand, if you're a DIYer, if you're a professional, we're all human beings. We're all on social media these days. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're on social media. We all have social media accounts. Doesn't matter which platform you're on. It can be YouTube, X, known as Twitter. It can be Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media website you can talk about or platform. We've all seen how nasty some people can be, and that's where I draw the line, and a lot of my fellow content creators as well draw the line, is if you're disrespectful, if you use foul language, if you cuss us out. I have no time of day for that. And for me, my YouTube channel, I treat it like my house, right? When I let people in to watch the channel, although it's publicly accessible, the contents of the channel for me are still like my house. Do I open the door to strangers? No, I don't. Do I invite strangers into my house? I absolutely do not. It has to be friends. It has to be family. It has to be people I'm comfortable with. It has to be people who are nice. And that doesn't mean you're not entitled to your opinion. You're absolutely entitled to opinion. Once again, I encourage free speech. I think it is so important. It's all in the way you deliver your message. Are you polite? Are you being constructive, or are you just bashing, throwing cuss words? Some can barely write a phrase without making mistakes. They don't even take time. They're just furious. They're acting on emotion and they're typing away. We call those keyboard warriors, right? Those are the ones I do not have respect for. You do not have the right to plow into people and to just cuss people out and to disrespect human beings, or even worse, bully them. I am one that stands strong against cyberbullying, and I know you guys too. You've showed me that support, by the way. There's been some drama in the past that one rotten channel has tried to do, and that channel became obsolete, irrelevant, and has never grown, because I think they tried to take the bad way to gain subscribers and views through drama, clickbait, and all that kind of stuff. And we both know that never works, both you and I. Again, viewers are not stupid. You guys know when the person has been there for years doing the right thing, working hard at creating content, giving opinions out that you guys can trust, a person that you've been comfortable with, who replies to you, who's been there, who you've met in person. I love meeting my viewers in person, whether it's at SEMA shows or like when we were in Chicago in early 2023. That was amazing. In France and wherever I go, when I have time to sit down, shake your hand. By the way, if you see me in the streets, some say, oh, I saw you at the restaurant yesterday, or I saw you when you were in New York with your brother doing this or that, or I wanted to say hi, but I didn't want to bother you guys. You don't bother me. Like, I know you guys are very respectful, and just come and say hi, shake my hand, and I'm always happy to meet you guys. Even in Banff, I was on vacation out west in Canada with my girlfriend, and people were stopping me in the street and, hey, Pan, oh my God, can I take a picture? You can absolutely take a picture. I will absolutely talk to you, sign, whatever you want. I'm happy to do that. So, but yeah, unfortunately, there's the bad sign of social media, and I'm sure you guys have experienced it too. It's not only content creators that get this negativity. There's people who are exposed to negative comments on social media every day. I see friends and family who are sometimes shamed of the way they look. They have body shaming done to them. People laugh at them. People call them stupid. People call it just because they have different opinions on topics. And I'm sure you guys can either relate yourselves, having being either bullied or called out on social media, or some interaction that didn't go quite well, or you see it, right? You definitely see it happening on social media. People are nasty. And the weird thing is, often it's people hiding behind these weird usernames, right? User 123XYZ, and there's no profile picture. So it's easy to act tough and think you're all that and call people out and cuss people out and talk your mind and be very nasty when you're hiding behind your keyboard somewhere in your house. Nobody knows who you are. You don't identify yourself. I find that's actually cowardly, and that should not be. And I know less and less people have a tolerance for that. And I know myself and content creators included that I know and that I value and that I have friendships with, we try to support each other, and we will stand up against that form of cyberbullying. I do not accept that, and I think there is no place for that. Yes, you can voice your opinion. as long as it's respectful. If it's done in a, not a critique, how do you call that again? I digress. Constructive criticism. So if you're giving constructive criticism or you're asking questions, right? Because it's important to have discussions. We're all for it. So if you're questioning yourself about something, instead of accusing or attacking and adding 3 or 4 cuss words in there, which will lead you to nothing, don't forget, humans are often a mirror of the way you behave. So if you come out there and start cussing, well, guess what? I'm likely going to plow into you like a freight train, and I'm going to give it back to you. Because sometimes, yes, I try to stay professional, but other times, people can be ridiculous. Yep. Thankfully, it's a small percentage, right? There's still 99.9% of my viewers who are absolutely amazing. I think I still have the best audience on YouTube, and every content creator loves their audience. But there's always these rotten apples anywhere you go, right? Same in your real lives. I'm sure you know people around you that just, you can't stand. They're just these negative willies or whatever you call them. Or they just like bashing into everything and everyone all the time. They like to bring others down to elevate themselves. That is a horrible thing to do. When you're trying to expose someone or calling someone out or belittle them or bully them or try to bash them or whatever it is, whether it's a brand or another person, when you're trying to put that individual or that brand down just to lower yourself, just to hire yourself or to stomp on someone to walk forward in life, it's going to come back to you. Yep, it's going to bite you in the butt. I can guarantee that. And you will not achieve success. Definitely not. People are not stupid. They see through that masquerade. They see through that clickbaiting. They see through that drama trying to create. I'm looking at you. And that's not only one person. If you feel that you're being judged right now, that is because you're most likely doing some drama. If the hat doesn't fit you, you're not reacting right now. If it does, it's because you know you're doing something wrong. So, ask yourself why you're not succeeding, and then being jealous of other people's success as well. I see that all the time on YouTube. Now, I don't want to preach out there. I don't want to give life lessons. That is not my role, but I will still at least give some insight, at least to how I went about my life. So I worked hard. People only see the cars, the watches, and they say, wow, that's all YouTube. That's not YouTube. I wish it was, but to get to this point in life, you need a channel with probably over 10 million subscribers. So a lot of people assume as soon as they see a YouTuber doing well, it's all YouTube. No, if you go back in time, I still had the nice car, the new house, the custom home theater, even before I started my channel. Don't get me wrong, YouTube is great. But before that, I had a high paying job, investments in the financial markets that did extremely well, and just a lifetime of hard work. I was taught by my dad. He was an immigrant to Canada in the 70s. He had barely a few bucks in his pockets, and he did it. He raised a family. He started his own business, didn't ask help from anybody, worked 7 days a week to raise us. He sent us to school, to the best schools he possibly could. He believed in us and he worked hard. I got that from him. He taught me to work hard in life, to make smart decisions financially speaking. And you guys know, a lot of you, when you ask me for advice, I love giving this kind of advice, is I like to share that knowledge. So hard work, and for all those reasons, this is what brought me to where I am in life right now. But with success, unfortunately, comes a lot of jealousy. If I look at when I had 30,000 subscribers, no other content creator cared, right? You were just a blimp on the radar and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, when you reach 100,000 subscribers, 200,000, 250,000, 500,000 subscribers, and now 1 million, I'm in the top 3 detailing channels in the world. And so that's all thanks to you. So while I'm grateful for all that has happened and I keep on working hard, there are some people that are looking at your meteoric rise and they're like, why am I still stuck where I am? And they have the feeling that they need to pull you back down so they can somehow stomp on top of you, but that's not the right approach. What you should do is work harder on your own content and figure out a way that you can do better. So don't get me wrong. If the algorithm thinks you are doing videos that people want to watch, if people are enjoying your videos and they click and they view, you will have the viewers and subscribers. I'm not a magical individual that it's somehow I won the lottery to be able to have these amount of people watching me. It's because I created a relationship of trust over time. I try to do quality videos. I don't think I make the best videos out there. I try to make the best videos I can do. And I think it resonates with you guys. I think I'm relatable to some extent. I think I bring something different compared to the rest. I'm original in the way I do things. I don't like to copy others. I do my own thing. I certainly have my own style. I know it's quirky. I know it's special. That whole pan the organizer thing that I do in my intros. Some find it dorky. Well, guess what? I don't listen to that. If I had to listen to what everybody told me and what everybody thought was the right way to operate my channel, I wouldn't be here today. Do your own thing, stick to your lane, do things right, and do what works best for you. Give more of what your audience wants to see. Listen to what they have to hear. But don't be jealous. I never look down on people who are more successful than I am, because in life, you can never be the most successful individual. It's impossible. I mean, even Jeff Bezos, where he is richest man on planet Earth, well, guess what? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's Elon Musk that surpasses him. Sometimes it's someone else. You're never the best in anything. So what you're trying to do is the best at what you can do. Keep your dreams and goals going and just work hard at it. Be humble and try and do best for whatever community you're trying to work in and whatever hobby or passion or whatever you do for work. Just try to be the best at that, but don't be jealous of people who have more success than you. Surround yourself with actually people who have more success than you do. That's what I did all my life. At whichever level I was, I always tried to surround myself with people who are way more successful than I am. And I would ask them questions, because often people who have success, guess what? They often like to share their knowledge or what brought them to that point. All they want is for people to ask them questions. They're likely to share that information with you. And yeah, you'd be surprised just how much successful people want to share that information, and then take that information, apply to your own life, and see what tidbits you can get and how you can better yourself. When you're jealous about someone, that frustration that you're keeping bottled in, well, you're not going to perform as well. You're not going to see that next step. You're not going to work harder to achieve that level. So for me, when I see more successful people, I see that as a goal of things that I want to achieve. I have dreams, I have ambitions, I have a vision board, I have things that I want to accomplish in my life. And even if I have a successful life currently, for me, it's still a beginning. I never know what the end is. I always want more. So I strive for more. That's what keeps me going. I don't know what fuels you. Each person is different, but that's one of the things that fuels me, is to always reach new heights. I've always been like that at whatever age group I was. When I was in basketball in high school, I wanted to be the best basketball player. In school, I always wanted to win all the awards, student of the year, and I'd get that, right? Best general average, best grades, but whatever it was. So I'd win those trophies. Then it went on to car competitions. I wanted to win the cleanest vehicle. So in all the car meets that I'd win a trophy for the cleanest vehicle. Then I got into high quality audio for cars. So I won many first place trophies in the Ayahuasca World Challenge for sound quality, because there was the SPL for the pressure level. That's how strong or loud the bass can be. And then there was the other side that was the SQL, so the sound quality. So you'd have judges sitting in your car evaluating your setup. So I'd spend tons of money on that, because that was one of my passions. Nowadays it's home theater, hi-fi setups, that kind of stuff, electronics, cars. I have all the man problems, I like to call them. So all the passions and hobbies, I have too much of them. Sneaker collecting, watch collecting, you name them. But that comes from hard work, and that also comes from, I was never jealous of a person that's doing better than I am. I applaud them. Congratulations, but I'm also curious, how did you make it to that point? I will ask the questions and try to see, is there anything or lessons that I can apply to my own life? By the way, I have a video on how you can become, I have a few videos, but there wasn't particular one where you're going to see me talking about my opinion on how you can achieve success, and I give a lot of tips and tricks. Hopefully you can watch that. It's not only about car detailing on the channel. Sometimes I'll share some different things. I think it's important to help inspire others. I'm 42. I don't pretend to know everything. I still probably don't know half as much as I'll know by the time I'm 60 and by the time I'm 80, but I certainly know a lot more than when I was 20. When I was 20, I thought I knew a lot, and now I realize I didn't know much. Life experience teaches you a lot of things. Am I right? The older crew out there. And I look at my dad today, he's 77, and he also tells me life goes by fast, man. But it's crazy how you learn a lot with life experience and past experiences, and how you can improve. And as long as you keep on going forward and you're improving, not regressing, you're doing something good. But never be jealous of other people. Just keep doing your thing and see how you can improve your own life. So yeah, again, negativity. When I see things that, also there's some people sometimes, they only look to kind of fill in their agenda, and they're looking for fights. Sometimes you'll often see that. I see that in comments all the time across all channels that I view. By the way, I'm going to say towards the end of the video which channels I really like and enjoy watching. I don't think I've ever revealed that in this extensive of a list, so stay tuned. But yeah, I'll see things like, let's say you talked about a product that they don't like, that individual doesn't like. So you're going to do the review. 99 people will say, wow, it's amazing, or 200, I tried it too, it's awesome. Then there's always this one guy that doesn't like either you as a person, that's fine too, or doesn't like the product because they had maybe some bad experience with it, or they heard another YouTuber that they like talk bad about that product, so they have a feeling now that they know everything about the product even though they might not have tested it themselves. Anyways, I digress. So they'll come, they'll drop a project of you're lying, you're a scam, you're a shill, you're a paid shill. I've seen them all. And this is like, I talk with all my fellow content creators and they know who they are. It's often the same people, but there's always a rotten apple or two that wants to try and create drama. Instead of politely maybe asking a question, it did not work for me. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Or here's my opinion of the product. And if you're doing that with constructive criticism, you're allowed to share your opinion. It's all the disrespect level that is uncalled for, the uncalled for levels of disrespect that, no, that should not happen. And then I see that that same individual will go back to the other YouTuber that they like. And let's say the person bashed that product that they don't appreciate. Well, then they're going to say, so his view aligns with their own view or their own agenda. So now all of a sudden they're going to write, thank you for being so honest. Thank you for exposing the truth. Oh my God, really? If the product didn't work for you, fantastic. But that doesn't mean that's the truth. It might not have worked for you. But what about the other 500,000, 500,000, a million people, maybe millions sometimes who have tried it and who have enjoyed it? Are they all wrong? So is everyone on a channel wrong? Are all my million subscribers wrong because you have a different point of view? No. And please don't think your opinion is worth more than another person that's watching a video. No, you just have a different opinion. Everybody's opinion should be valued as long as, again, it's shared in a constructive way and in a respectful manner. If you're respectful, I don't know anybody who will not accept to have a dialogue with you. And that's how I am in real life as well. If you're nasty, you're going to get plowed into and or you're going to get ghosted. That's one way. Thankfully, YouTube came out with tools that allow content creators, because mental health is a thing. We're human beings at the end of the day, and there's nothing that says anywhere that I should take abuse, whether it's verbal, physical, or written, by anyone. We do not deserve that. At the end of the day, we try to entertain you guys. We try to give you some education. We try to give you some knowledge. We share tips and tricks. These videos are not easy to make. I know for once, some videos take me 10 to 15 hours to produce. That's only one video. I have over 1,000 videos on my channel in the almost 8 years I've been on YouTube. So that is a lot. And also, please, guys, don't ever forget to encourage your content creators. The videos you're watching them for free on YouTube. So if you can support them by buying, if they have affiliate links in the description to help support the channel, it's at no extra cost to you. You can do that. Another way you can support them, give thumbs up button, subscribe to their channel. That helps push the algorithm, share the videos with family and friends. All that promotes their channels, and that's how you can elevate your favorite content creators to the next level. If they're doing a good job, let them know in the comment section. There's nothing better than when I get feedback from my audience and I see the support that you guys give me and the love you give me. That really pushes me to continue. You don't know how much it means to me. I am a people person. I like my friends. I really like my family. You guys know. I don't want to get emotional in this video, but you've seen my brother, my girlfriend. There are people who support me, and I just I like them a lot and I value them. And that's the way I am with my viewers too. I know it's been so often said by content creators, like, I appreciate my audience, but you guys know I truly do. And I think you've noticed when you meet me in person as well, a common theme that often comes up, and I hear this feedback, sometimes either directly through you guys, but often through other creators or comments from other channels, or even brands. Sometimes they'll say, Pan, like, this person today just sent us a message and said they met you, or they spoke to you, or they called you, emailed you, whatever it is. And they said, wow, he's just as genuine of a person as he is in his videos. He's the same individual in real life as he is in those videos. And man, it touches my heart. So the persona that you see, there's no persona. What you see on video is what you'll get in real life if you ever meet me as well. And so as long as you're good individuals, you want to do the right thing, we'll always get along. And again, I value your input and just the support that you guys have shown me. So, and not only me, please, if you like any other content creator out there, and there's many, many good ones, I'm getting to that, share your love with them, encourage them, and tell them, you guys are doing some great stuff. It's important for us to have that feedback, because we're behind a camera. I'm filming this in my garage. I'm by myself now. And the only way I know if you guys appreciate this is through the comments, through the smashing the like buttons, through seeing the amount of subscribers. That tells me just how many people are behind the Pandy Organizer family. And I truly appreciate that. So the endless sea of new brands and new products. Topic number 6. There's new brands, new products. I know this video is long, by the way. We're at over an hour and 30 minutes now on the recording. Hopefully you enjoy this. Man, this is going on forever. I hope I'm not rambling like this weird person. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I know there's always a core who enjoy the videos, so that's good to know. Let me know. Again, hey, drop the comment. If you want to see more of these and you like this kind of stuff, I can do more. I can talk forever about detailing. So endless sea of new brands and new products. I've touched this on a few recent videos, but yeah, every week, every month, there seems to be a new brand and a new product. I think it's good. It pushes other companies to keep innovating. It pushes companies to stay competitive. It keeps them with their prices in check because they have to have that competition, right? To not be outsold by anyone else. It keeps them also, I like to think, honest, to keep on producing quality products if they want to make sure that people will buy their stuff, especially nowadays with social media. If you do bad things, you're going to know right away. And if you do good things, you're also going to know right away. So yes, there are endless companies that always pop up, but the good ones rise to the top. I like to think that the products that I showcase here are good products from good brands, or at least the people behind the brands are genuinely passionate about detailing and they're trying to do the right thing. So I want to encourage that, and I hope you guys can encourage that as well. And then topic number 7, hype beasts. What does that mean? You're always going to hear that, right? I don't know. There's, again, it's a small percentage, but you're always going to hear some people, when a product gets popular, somehow they label it as being, oh, that's just hype. And it becomes uncool to use that product. I'm like, what? Why? One example that comes to mind is Beadmaker. So a lot of people like Beadmaker, not only my viewers, but fellow content creators. If you type Beadmaker on YouTube, you're going to see a bunch of videos. Why is that? So some, yes, wanted to ride on the bandwagon of it being popular. I was one of the first ones with Matt Mormon to really popularize Beadmaker as far as the videos that did super well. But I don't want to take any credit for it because I did not create that. That's Dave and Bob, his brother at PNS. They do great products, but that one was one that went viral. Why? It has good gloss and slickness. Now, don't forget, Beadmaker, when I first tested this is 2018. I had gone to the rag company headquarters and I had a blast there. And they told me, Pam, let me introduce you to this Beadmaker. Beadmaker, never seen it, never tested it, and it blew me away. Now we're talking many years ago. There weren't that many products that had that level of gloss and slickness. Now, somehow, because the product didn't last really long, some people started bashing it because, well, it doesn't even last long. Nobody claims it lasts for years. Even in my own real-world testing, it was one of the first ones to go out. I had a vehicle, if you remember, real-world driven vehicle for a full year. 20 different paint protectants applied, and Beadmaker only lasted a few weeks. So it lasts 3 to 4 weeks in my tests on average. So it's not made for long-term durability, hence why we mainly use it as a topper over your existing wax, sealant, or ceramic coating to act as a drying aid, to act as a booster, to give you a bit of that gloss and slickness pop, right? So back in those days, it was one of the products that actually had the most. Did other products catch up to it today? Yeah, there are some products that maybe do slightly better gloss or slickness, or at least equal. There's not still that many, though, that will give me that level of satisfaction, but that's my opinion. So it is still very good. And now you can mix it with Dreammaker. Wink, wink. Hi to my buddy Jamie. Jamie the cleaner, fantastic guy. He's the one that dubbed it the Clean Maker. He's the first one that came out with that mix. I gave him credit, by the way, in a video. I talked about how to dilute it. So now you can have a bit of anti-static properties in that mix and still keep the gloss and slickness, make it even easier to apply when you're mixing it together. But I digress. So that was good. But then because it became so popular, I think some people thought it was the cool thing to do to start bashing on it and call it just hype. It's just hype. People are buying into hype. But when I started questioning some people and like, did you ever try it? No, I don't need to. It's just hype. I saw on another channel that they said it was hype. Oh man, come on, really? Like, we're supposed to be adults here. Unless I'm mistaken, you're not a 9-year-old child that can't make up his mind. So if you didn't even test it, how can you formulate your opinion on it? You can't. Try it. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it doesn't work for you, that's also fine. It is totally, do not buy it. If you tested it and it doesn't answer your criteria, again, remember, right? All those criteria. For some people, gloss and slickness might be important. For others, it's price. For others, it's value. For others, it's resistance. For others, durability. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't answer, just don't buy it. And it's so inexpensive that you can't really go wrong. But for some, you know what? It might work. That doesn't mean that it's hype because a video goes viral or two and then everybody talks about it. That's good for the brand, actually. I'm happy for them. They probably made a killing selling Beadmaker and they took that money to the bank, and good for them. they could reinvest in the business and come up with more innovations and products. I certainly applaud them for what they did. And again, it's not to point names, it's such an easy example because it's a flagrant one, but that happens time and time again. People labeling stuff hype just because it became popular on social media. Sometimes, yes, it can be overblown, but don't forget, if the majority of the content creators who have popularized the products, you believe in them and you appreciate them and you value their opinion, why is it hype? Is it possible that it's just a good product? I remember CarPro C Quartz UK 3.0. Oh, it's hype. It's hype. It's a ceramic coating. It can be the next best thing. And then when people actually try it, yeah, it was one of the best consumer coatings at the time. So take the time, test the things for real, see if it works for you. It doesn't mean because something is popular that it's total hype. And it also does not mean because something is not popular or hasn't been discovered yet that it's total garbage. There are some gems out there that I'm sure you can know because how I know? Because you guys leave comments often. Pan, you've never looked into this product. It works amazingly well. That's how I know when I see multiple comments on the same product that I have not tested yet. That usually is a ding ding, a little bell that rings in my head that says you should probably look into it and start doing a video because you see that a lot of your viewers are giving you feedback in something that seems to be working for them. So at least look at it, right? So that's one cue for me to make a video, but I'm sure you guys can think of, are there any underrated products, by the way, crazy gems that you think should be discovered that are not spoken about enough on social media? Let me know which ones. Drop a comment in the comment section. So I want also to know what your biggest frustrations are with the detailing world. I want you to share what maybe I haven't covered them in this video. So let me know, as long as they're constructive, by the way. Stay polite, stay courteous. That's always important. YouTube has guidelines for that, by the way. Sometimes people saying, oh, I see on some channels, even on mine sometimes, hey, he deleted my comment, or no, it's not deleted. If you're using inappropriate language or inappropriate words, YouTube also flags some stuff. They call those the hidden comments. So they'll flag them and set them for review. And if you just don't have time to review because you get tons of comments, you'll never go through them. So if you added a link, also sometimes YouTube wants to prevent spamming. So they'll put that comment for review. So just keep in mind, it's not because the content creator necessarily deletes your comments. Sometimes they're just pulled or flagged because you might have cursed inside that text that you put or that comment. So what I can say also is don't ever rely only on one source. Even my viewers, you guys know, I've said that in the past, don't solely rely on my reviews. I'm happy that you do, that you place trust in my opinion and that you value my videos. I tell you that time and time again. I often reply that, if you guys have noticed too, in comments. Thank you for the trust you place in my opinion, because that's how I see it. You put some trust into what I do, and you also have faith that if something changes over time, when I test something and it doesn't pan out, that I will let you guys know. And so I like to help you navigate through this endless sea of new cars and new products and new brands and all this kind of stuff, even the legacy products, legacy brands, and help you make better purchasing decisions. But there are also channels that I highly encourage that you go watch, some positive influences in the car detailing world. So content creators, which I find are doing good things for the detailing community, that not only make good videos, but that are entertaining to watch. They all have their different personalities. This entire list I'm going to go through, they're all different. They all have different personalities, and I think that's why they're doing well. Show them some love. You can tell them, Pan, the organizer, sent me here, if you had no clue that they existed. It's always nice to have a roster. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody, by the way. These are just the channels that I'm going to name. There are almost 15, I think, or 20 on this list. These are people that either I've met in person, that I'm personal friends with, that I've either exchanged through podcasts, through emailing, through texts, that we've either met virtually or in person, or we talk often, or simply I might just respect them as content creators, and I think they make great videos and they deserve to be discovered and shown some love to, because it's important to give back to content creators, and that's one way, is to show our love for them. So I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Don't get offended if I forget anybody, but I'm going to try and go with a thorough list of the ones I watch the most, because I watch a lot more than the ones I'm going to list here, but these are the ones I watch maybe on a daily basis, or at least as often as they release new videos. I like to keep up to date with what's going on in my community of content creators as well. So here's the list. There's no brands in there, by the way, so these are more individual content creators, so independent content creators, because there's a lot of brands that I also follow that do good stuff, but we're going to stick to individual YouTubers. So first one, the OG, that has probably been one of the oldest channels on YouTube at this point. I think over 11 years now. I think he started in circa 2012 or early 2010. Don't quote me on it, but my friend Larry, Larry from Ammo NYC, Larry Casilla out of New York. Fantastic videos. I preferred his style initially when he was doing more of those tutorials, because that's what I tend to do, right? I do tutorials and product reviews. He was doing very extensive tutorials and they were amazing. Now he does more of those barn finds and disaster type details. That's less my thing because I don't do that, but still quality to production, top notch. One of the biggest channels on YouTube for detailing. And again, one of the OGs, crazy knowledge, super nice guy. So you probably know him, obviously. Next, there's John Billier. I hope I say his family name well, but it's John from Forensic Detailing Channel out in the UK. Crazy in-depth testing of many things. He'll go into some more, not fully scientific because it's not in a lab, he's not a scientist, but he does some of the most thorough reviews out there. Very interesting, great personality as well, as they all do on this list. I met him in person like the majority of the people here. I did a lot of collabs, by the way, with the people I'm going to name. So if you want to see me do a collaboration in the future with another one that might not be on this list, let me know. I always like to encourage also smaller channels to grow and to help them have a bigger reach by introducing them to my audience, as long as they're willing to do a video to give tips and tricks and do some positivity for the audience. That's the only criteria I have, and that they're around long enough to be worth it. I don't want a one and done and we disappear into the sunset. I want a channel that will be there for many years, wants to contribute to the community. The next one is my buddy Matt Mormon from Obsessed Garage in the US, out of Florida. It's not really a detailing channel anymore, so he does more everything garage related. So garage design, your cabinets, your pressure washers, the tools, the equipment. He does very deep dives into all that so we can have better experiences. And he has his Obsessed Garage store that is fantastic for anyone who wants to do a deep dive into the ultra high-end detailing equipment and tools and some crazy stuff. So there's also Jim White from White Details from the UK. Once again, professional detailer, amazing level of work. He can spend 5 days working on a vehicle. I just like how intricate the work is that he does and the way he films his videos. All of them, by the way, film well for different reasons. But yeah, he goes into, if you like to see an hour-long full detailing session, go check him out. We have Joe from Car Cleaning Guru, met him in person as well. Great guy. He has that voice that everybody likes, and he's another professional detailer that does tremendous work. We have Sandro, so from Australia, from Carcraft Auto Detailing. So hi mate, by the way, another professional detailer. He does some of the most extensive, especially paint correction reviews of polishes, compounds, pads, and all that kind of stuff, and really shares his extensive knowledge and experience on detailing. I highly encourage that you check him out. I'm giving shout outs to all these people, by the way. I have respect for all of them unless they prove me otherwise one day. I like to consider them either good acquaintances or good friends at this point. Next, Brian from Apex Detail, fantastic individual. He's out of Philadelphia in the USA. Another one that likes to do a lot of testing like I do of different brands and different products. He's always looking for the next greatest thing, and he likes to do different methods of testing as well. So check that out. He works with his son as well from his shop. Phil from Miranda Detailing, he works with his wife on his channel, so it's a husband and wife type situation. I think it's cool to see the dynamics of how a couple works together and how a duo works together to detail cars. They started by being mobile detailers and now detail from their house, so it's interesting. He often shares a day of a detailer, so how he goes through his day from the time he sips his coffee up to the time he puts away his tools. So check that out if you're interested in seeing how professional detailers work from their house. Mike from Chromatic Garage. He's from Ontario, here in my home country of Canada. And so he does some very artistic videos. He does a lot of mechanical work as well and great detailing, pro detailer. Amazing videography if you like that kind of stuff, well produced. My friends Ivan and Nick from DIY Detail, I don't think they need any introduction. They do some great work. Yes, they are a brand, but they were YouTubers as well. So I'll give them a pass on that one. Just great energy between both of them and great knowledge. And it's just nice, again, to see a duo work together. Next, we have Chelsea from Attention to Details. I see more and more women in the industry, and I think that's a great thing. And we need to see more of that. They have, as she says, attention to details. She's a mom who works from home. So you can see this more family style, but still professional detailer working from their house. She has good insights. She's doing well. I met her in person in Chicago at the meet that we had with a bunch of viewers, and she's she was genuinely a good person, smiling all the time, and she was starstruck of seeing all of us there, as I was as well, seeing all these fellow content creators that you see sometimes online. You meet them in person, so go check her out. James from Top Class Detail, he's out from California in the USA. Young kid, just turned I think 20 at this point, or 21. So yeah, I like the endeavors that he has, and also the hard work ethics for such a young kid. He is one of those that I feel very happy for the next generation. He proves that you guys can do it, so I like that. So great inspiration. He's a mobile detailer. Next, we have my friend Rick from Rad Garage. He's a teacher at school, however, absolutely loves detailing, and he does also very creative and very artistic videos, very soothing and very relaxing if you like that kind of thing. So he does full details with kind of music, and you see the bubbling. His video editing is top notch. They're like mini movies. Go check him out. Give him some love. He's from Alberta here in Canada, Calgary to be more precise. We have Brian, my brother from another mother, Brian from Fab Automotive Detailing. He's out in the US from Indiana, and he has his own detailing truck where he sells products from now, and just does some great work. He's an ex-car mechanic as well, so different takes on that too. I have to get quicker because I'm almost out of battery. Oh, go. Jamie the Cleaner, I think he's from Texas in the USA. Just great guy, great personality, and I really love the guy. Met him in person too. Great personality, very genuine, kind, nice person. I like to see that. Vermeil from Vermeil Car Detailing. He's from Belgium. Great filmography. His name is spelled Vermijl, so some might say Vermijl, but I asked him how he pronounces his name, and it's spelled Vermeil, like email. Yeah, videography, top-notch quality, professional detailer, amazing videos. Josh from I'm Josh V, I think out from California as well. Josh, we did a collab together. I like his take, professional detailer, so he'll talk a lot about pressure washers and equipment and all that kind of stuff. Does some cool product testing as well. Check him out. And last but not least on this list, again, I hope I didn't forget anybody, but Eric from Papa Smurf 918 Detail. I wish he'd change that channel name. It's too long. But yeah, Eric, another great guy, great videos, tests a lot of different products, and just a great personality. So all these guys and gals, show them some love. Go check them out. I think you won't be disappointed. If there's any topics you want me to talk about, if you like this kind of video, let me know. Drop a comment. I'll do more of these. Smash the thumbs up button. That shows me just how much you like the videos. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, want to learn more about car detailing, all the products, equipment, tips, tricks, and techniques, click the subscribe button that's found under this video, and that way you won't miss my future videos. So guys, thanks for being there. Thanks for watching. And in the meantime, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and I'll see you on the next one.